Hello, my name is Caleb Coffey, and in this presentation, I will be covering the scenario Flying Wild. I have recently been checked out in the Flying Club's Twin, and I'm excited to embark on this cross-country flight. To prepare myself, I fired up the flight simulator and flew various aspects of the planned flight and oriented myself with airports and landmarks along the route should something go wrong. During the simulator flight, I was able to work on my flows and incorporate automation to lessen the workload and which I intend on leveraging on the flight. For my proposed flight plan, I chose Amarillo International Airport for the start of the flight and Centennial Airport in Colorado as my destination. The Seneca 2's range will allow me to make the trip without requiring to stop for fuel. The route tracks near towns, airports with services, and along highways and interstate roads, which give me options should I be forced to land before reaching my destination. Along the route are the Pinyon Canyon and two buttes high and low military operating areas with normal operating times between 0700 hours and 2200 hours. Prior to entering the military operating areas, I will contact Albuquerque Center on 127.85 or 285.47 for MOA status. Currently, there are no notices to airmen, temporary flight restrictions, or drone NOTAMs that affect my route of travel. In preparation for the flight, I leveraged the following charts for various aspects of the flight and multiplied each answer I'd calculated by 20% as a buffer since the numbers on the charts were derived from a test pilot flying a brand new aircraft. For accelerate and stop distance, I have 4,200 feet. Takeoff ground roll, 1,800 feet. Takeoff distance, 2,340 feet. Climb performance with two engines, 1,375 feet. Climb performance with one engine operating, 225 feet. Time fuel distance to descend, 7.2 minutes, 3.6 gallons, and 20.4 nautical miles. Landing ground roll, 1,560 feet, and landing distance, 3,000 feet. During my simulator VFR orientation flight, the live real-time weather deteriorated and I had to cancel my VFR flight plan and request an IFR flight plan from Albuquerque Center, from which I continued the flight. Understanding how quickly the weather can change out west, especially in proximity to the Rockies, I set up the simulator for the planned Flying Wild flight and shot IFR approaches and IMC conditions at airports along my planned route. I feel confident in my abilities to fly the Seneca in both VFR and IFR conditions, but even after flying the route in the simulator and shooting several approaches, both VFR and IFR, with simulated engine out, I have decided, based upon going through the PAVE and 5P checklists, to delay my departure for at least a day in hopes that the weather improves. Whether we're flying single-engine or multi-engine aircraft, it is important to do a takeoff brief before each flight in case of an engine failure. If we start adding power for takeoff and an engine quits, we are going to bring throttles to idle and apply brake pressure. If we take off the gears down and there's still runway available and an engine quits, we are going to bring throttles to idle, put the plane back down the runway, and stop. If we take off, the gears in transition are up and there's no runway left, we're going to maintain directional control of the aircraft, pitch for VYSZ, best rate of climb single engine, bring mixtures, props, throttle controls forward, make sure gear and flaps are up, identify dead foot dead engine, verify with the throttles. Once we verify which engine has failed, bring the prop for that engine into the feather position and cut off the mixture. If we're flying en route and an engine quits above 3,000, we're going to go through the same procedure, maintain directional control, keep the airplane level and don't go below blue line, mixtures, props, throttles forward, flaps geared up, identify, diff with dead engine, verify with the throttles. Except instead of feathering immediately and cutting off the mixture, we're going to try to troubleshoot with the emergency procedures checklist. If that does not work, bring the props to feather, the prop control to feather, cut off with the mixture, and find the nearest suitable airport. Some factors to consider is the tendencies to roll and yaw. How this happens is due to the failed engine, there's a loss of induced flow, which means there'll be a loss of lift on that side. There will be a tendency to yaw due to the operating engine's asymmetrical thrust, and quite a bit of drag due to a windmilling propeller. How to counteract these factors is to bang 2 to 3 degrees into the operating engine to counteract the roll. Have a half ball deflection using the rudder into the good engine. And feather the propeller. If below 3,000, do it immediately. But if above 3,000, before feathering, troubleshoot as necessary to see if you can get the engine running again. If not, bring the prop into feather position.